Good afternoon. I am a self-professed English nerd. I do have a degree in English language and literature, and I have spent blissful years tutoring students in grammar, and I realize that that makes most people cringe and retreat. But I'm afraid my level of nerdiness goes way beyond that. Over the last few years, I have written and illustrated a bestiary of the English language. It's a dictionary of the monsters that make up this language, and I want to use it as a tool to teach children grammar. So, some of the beasts are very common, and you know them, like verb and noun and adjective. Other beasts are more uncommon, like synecdoche and homonym. One beast that we have probably all encountered across our various disciplines is plagiarism. How do you get across to an 11-year-old what plagiarism is and its consequences? Well, you could sit them down and have a little ethical chit-chat about copying, or you could introduce them to my beast, who is this shady-looking character. He only lives in dark alleys in New York City. He smells like overripe mangoes and wears a trench coat, and his sole joy in life is to sell you knockoffs as originals. Now, if you go on Amazon.com today and search Grammar for Kids, you will find a plethora of books that promise to be fun and engaging. But the problem is, they still all rely on this rote memorization of rules and 1,000 exceptions for each rule. It's completely uncreative. And frankly, grammar exercises that are printed in purple ink versus black don't really make it that much more fun. So this is where my beasts are unique, and they step it up. They engage the reader in a story, in a narrative that they can become a part of, and it challenges them to use their imagination when learning grammar. And the thing about imagination is, if you are imagining, you are in fact creating. And if you're creating, then you own it. It's not my beast anymore, it's yours. And that is an incredibly powerful way to learn, especially as a child. So in the fall, I am partnering with a nonprofit organization here in town called DEEP. They have an after-school writing program. They serve 400 kids a year across middle schools in Savannah, and they would like to use the beasts in their programming, and I'm here to make that happen. So I'm here today to investigate all possibilities. I could use investment to self-publish this book, put a marketing force behind it. Right now it's a blog of 52 beasts. I could also just use connections and recommendations in the marketing world, because I have graduate school, 3 children, and a part-time job, and it would be great to hand this to someone who has the time to put behind this. Either way, I invite each and every one of you to come to my little cafe table on the other side there, and I would introduce you to the beasts. It would be my pleasure, and thank you so much for your time.
So I did do research on Amazon. Children's books, 19,763. Part of the question I have around that is, how do you break through all of the smatter that's in front of you? But also, have you looked at distribution to educational institutions or educational sellers, and the homeschool market, which, depending on these numbers, you want to believe, are up to about 12% in the United States?
My game plan is to start local and start small and get the data behind this project to show that it's effective. Get people talking about it, get it in the schools, in my community, to get parents involved, get the teachers involved, and as that grows and the reputation builds, I will have a better force behind me to head off humongous markets like that.
So if you had $6,000, what would you do with it?
Currently, I would publish 300 hard copies of the bestiary, and I would have 400 accompanying workbooks that come with the bestiary. And the workbooks would be something that's easily photocopyable by teachers, that has exercises in it that are creative and involve the beasts, and I would use that for nonprofits like Youth in Town. And you can tailor the workbook to the student for whatever level they're working on, and then the bestiary itself is just full color images that's awesome as a kid to be a part of. I would also look into things like, I have a viewfinder. Remember those as a kid where you look up in the light? To use something creative like that for children to just get excited and just enjoying themselves when dealing with grammar, so they're not running away screaming.
Have you had the opportunity to do a test script, or is DEEP going to be your test script?
I have. I lived overseas for many years, and I used this in tutoring ESL students in a writing center. It was a different market, so it had to be tailored differently. Certain things like humor or cultural references didn't translate. But it had a great success, and I had the full support of the writing department of the university that it was tested on, and they were using it in their classrooms. Here in the States, yes, DEEP would be the testing ground, and that's part of the reason I'm excited about it, because it would give me a chance to get so much feedback from this market and this culture and education here.
And what was feedback? I mean, obviously it was positive.
It was for the ESL, you mean?
Right.
Yeah. The biggest thing the professor said was that the students enjoyed it, and it took this huge pressure off this horrible experience of learning grammar. It made it fun, and it mostly was just easier to remember because they have a visual companion to it, and a story is so much easier to remember than some, rote memorization. And then the criticism was the humor and cultural references don't translate. But I spoke to someone earlier that suggested we could have beasts of all languages. So we do beast of English. Somebody suggested beasts of Mandarin. Yeah.
Have you registered all of your artwork?
I have not. I have protected it